Hello, welcome back to another Union Arena Deck Tech. We're here once again with Kyle from Unionversity, and today we're breaking down a fan favorite classic that's getting a very fresh boost to it with the new Volume 2 release, Purple Ichigo from Bleach. This deck takes the core Ichigo mechanics from Volume 1 and breathes new life into them with support from the latest set. It's a deck that blends control elements, removal, and pressure with strong synergy pieces. We're going to cover the basics, the curve, the key cards, and everything like that, and show you how you can control your opponent's board into a winning game state. So, let's start by talking about what this deck is trying to do. Once again, how would you describe the overall identity of Purple Ichigo? Would you call it a control, a tempo, or maybe something a little different?
Immediately just goes mid-range. Deck is not a control deck, because if you play like a control deck, you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Don't play this game like a control deck. If you're going to play aggressive, you're going to lose because you're not going to have the resources. So you kind of just have to find that good mix and blend on how you want to build and play, right? So each piece is been tested over and over. We kind of have a good understanding, and this deck has evolved from time to time. We went from being Renji Rush last season to now being a more Ichigo-centric deck. As you can tell, a lot of players might be like, there's so many new tool cards that you can use. Well, there are a lot of cards I don't like, and my goal was to play as few of non-triggers as humanly possible, and that goal was achieved. This is the only non-trigger in the deck. The 3-cost Ichigo.
And the card's insane.
I have to play it.
Yeah.
Because I have to play it.
Yeah.
No other reason. Because I was forced, strong-armed, because, yeah.
All right.
There's not another better issue.
So what makes Purple Ichigo unique compared to the other decks in the current meta? The other purple decks out there?
So, to be honest with you, this one was basically the first one that kind of went like, let's fill our trash and use it for good stuff. Ichigo being able to answer response. Ichigo being able to draw a card. Basically give impact, so your late game stratus. This was the newest edition, being able to gain double damage in this deck. That is all you're going to be doing. Just giving you a heads up. You will not get to impact. If you want to play impact, you're going to have to go play Squad Zero. Yeah. So, but he's nullify impact. So, yeah, kind of just good stuff all around.
So let's walk through the deck by cost and break down the key roles. So this deck has much different zero drops than the other purple deck that we just put out. You can see that on the same channel as well, everybody. Can you walk over what these zero costs are and what roles they're playing inside of this deck?
Yep. Oreo. Trader scum, but you gotta play him. He's when play, draw a card, then place one card from your hand into sideline. But he's also a draw trigger. So he's fantastic, well-rounded. He's gonna do what he wants to do as a Quincy, and boom. But then you have Ichigo, just your raid target average boy here. 15k DP. Nothing more out of that. He's just a raid target for that early shift into this boy. Right now, we do have Kirano. This is a new addition that I personally like playing, because if we play her, then if we can get both of these dudes early enough, if you can get one of him and her into your removal area, guess what? He's live earlier. That means he's double damaging, punching in the face, making your opponent have a bad day. So there are two options on that, where you get to 10 cards removed, which this is what that's going to do. So at the end of the day, that's kind of how that's going to pan out, is that both, like, even Oetsu will help fuel that with her later on in the game, but she is a draw trigger. The fact that we don't have zero cost Rukia, and it's like, well, you need the on deletion mill 2 is always a really powerful early aggression, be able to trade and kind of just trash. Sadly, we don't have that, but she was also a draw trigger, which to me, I feel like we want to have. Like the big thing with Renji was a act trigger, which was stand, but basically we got the 2-cost Rukia to be that act trigger instead, but in that trade-off we lost the 3-cost Rukia that was your draw trigger, so you need to compensate and bring it into your zeros. So yeah, that's where I went. Draw trigger, add trigger, draw trigger. You still need to draw in this deck, because if you're not drawing, you're losing that game. Your tempo will fail you.
Absolutely. The deck does not have that much organic draw cards inside of it, so having those triggers are very useful. Now, it does have what I believe is one of the best color triggers in the entire game in the 1-drop slot. Can you talk on this Ichigo a little bit?
Yeah, it's round 1 Ichigo. Besides being, when played, look at the top card of your deck, then place it at the top of your deck, or you sideline it. Just understand that basically if you're doing weird combos, and understand that, you need to get stuff in your trash as soon as possible. Like, you look at the top of your deck and go like, you know what, I'm at 6 cards, but I can guarantee to get to like 8 or 9 if I do a certain weird play. If you're going to be milling the card anyway, send that card to the trash as soon as possible, because you're just wasting resources. Because if you're just looking at the top to put it on top again, just to mill it out with something else in your deck, you're just wasting time. So just send it to the trash. There's no other reason not to, besides like, if you can't, as long as you can draw that card you want to keep immediately. But if you're going to be milling further in the turn, don't save it. Just mill it. You're better off just hoping to draw that card later.
Absolutely. And the fact that it's a 2,500 body early game. This card is just insanely good. Just big booty early with a color trigger that gets itself back into play from the purple color trigger. Insane card. Yep. So let's go over your 2s. You're playing 2 different ones. We already touched a little bit on the Rukia, how she's kind of a filler, but there's another new card from Volume 2 in here, Orihime.
Well, let's rephrase this. This isn't Volume 2 card. This was a Volume 1 card that they decided to print and give us because they thought it's not that broken.
So it's new to all of us NA players.
Yeah. JP's had it longer, and they don't touch this card anymore because they have 0-cost Rukia, and they have the 2-cost Rukia, so they have the 8 targets for the Rukia. We are stuck with 4. So, but Orihime is in here for special treats. So there was times like when I want to go into this and I'm like, I'm too short to kill that 4K on the board or the 5K on board. You know what? Slam down the Orihime. She's going to mill me 2 cards. Then slam down this Ichigo. Answer response. Your opponent's now like, dang it, I thought I was safe. Nope, you're not, because this thing just comes in and goes like, when played, I'm going to mill anyway.
Yep. So guaranteed mill 2 on a 2-drop 3K. Awesome curve, awesome card, very strong.
Trigger. With an active Both trigger. Are active triggers. Yeah. Rukia, I'm going to be straight honest with you. This during your turn thing could have just not been there, and she was just a 2-cost, and you're in a good day.
Yeah. It has text. Which can come up, I think, with Uryu. I think that's the only card, really. Yeah. When a card is placed from your hand into your sideline.
She can do it too.
Sure, yeah. The raid target, if you have multiples of her. Yeah, that's true as well. So moving right along.
She's 95% vanilla most of the time.
Yeah. So moving right along, we have the 3-drop Ichigo and NT. Etsu, that guy.
Oh, Etsu.
Yeah, the guy who makes the sword.
Yep. We have Ichigo. Just basically because it doesn't have a trigger and it's your double energy generator. He's just hitting for 4K. He's the promo that we got early, because technically he is a promo card, I think, from the thingy.
From the pre-release. Yes. He's the winner card.
No. From JP, it was actually a promo binder, I think, that it was part of.
Oh, I don't know about anything about JP. I only talk about NA.
Yeah. So these, like this Ichigo was a promo similar to how Kurapika's promo was the same thing. These were introduced early for us as compensation because they were doing things. Besides the point, besides not giving us zero cost Rukia. But then we have Oetsu here. This one's kind of a little bit different that a lot of players would be like, why aren't you playing the Kisuke Urahara? Because Kisuke will bottom deck pieces I don't want to lose. If I lose this Rukia, or this card, I'm not going to get this proc. The fact that I want to proc this as soon as possible matters most of the time. So, like, if I can't get to 10 right away, and this one went off and milled out, let's say we removed 8, then this thing needs another Ichigo turn before we can actually activate this and, get the double damage live. Now, with at least 2 different names, if this comes up and we get both of these in the trash, then we go into this, and this is now just waiting the wings. You can now start swinging in for double damage, applying pressure earlier than your opponent's expecting. So I definitely recommend playing 2 Squad 0 named, because it does come up where you get that double damage earlier than your opponent's planning, and they're like, oh god, they lost out on a few pieces and their board is now cleared, but this thing now comes in and deals double damage. Now they're a lot closer to death and gives them less time to answer, because what would normally be like kill the impactor, right? They're going to switch over to this because it just hit them with double damage, and they're like, screw you, I hate this card, let's go.
Oh yeah, double damage has to die.
Yeah.
All right.
So
moving right along, we have the
Bankai.
basic removal package, Getsuga Tensho, Bankai. Yeah, that's pretty standard in every deck. But now we get into the rush aspect of the deck. Can you go over each of these 4 drops and why they are played in this deck and why they are so strong in the current meta?
So first off, we have Rukia. Rukia, amazing card, as we all know her to be, but they don't want to give us full power because for some reason is classified broken once you give her a 0 drop. Yeah. I don't know. We're not going to go there any further. But with Rukia, she's basically the best card ever to be hit if you have one of her out in your energy line and they hit it in your life. Yeah, on my opponent's turn, I'm going to draw 3 cards, filter 2. What? Yeah. Or better yet, if I don't need a wasted AP turn, I can just go, hey, I got Rukia in the energy line early. I'm now going into my turn 4. 4 energy turn. I'll play body, raid Rukia, draw a bunch of cards, maybe Bankai with that to extend play, get another body out, then proceed to even make a wider board, just so that her ability is basically I draw, or you're going to be just slamming her down to be chumpy blocky. Straight up, her Chappie the bunny kind of shenanigan. That's all is here. Then you have Ichigo here that is basically for your late game. Originally, what my deck design was 4-2. I started realizing that I like to actually have more raid targets to use because I have so many of this in the curve that basically I don't care if this thing I raid over, actually, to be honest with you. A lot of players would go like, you don't want to raid over this ever. I'm like, if I have to, guess what? Doing it.
Yeah, that's impact. Let's go.
Yeah, I got impact or double damage. I don't care if I lose out on nullify impact early on because that's not coming up anytime soon. So yeah, this one's draw me a card, gain impact by removing 4 from my trash. This thing, if I'm not going to have this live, it is a raid target. But it's a nullify impact for the late game, and it's a double damage early game if you can get these 2 in the removal area, or if you can get just 10 there. It is sometimes good to just overextend on your trash if you know you can get back up there pretty quickly. So just something to think about. But all in all, slam down this if you need to, slam down this if you need to, slam down this if you need to, because if you don't have any other ways of doing so, just get your value and tempo in, and make sure you force your opponent to be like, you know what, the mindset set was you're going to raid. Well, play the game a little bit differently, because the mindset should be that you should be adapting to the strategy that benefits you the best. If your opponent is playing something that's going to remove, the lower weenies as soon as possible, Purple Code, very much one of the best decks in the format. Playing down 4Ks as much as humanly possible really hurts them, because they don't have enough raid targets to stop as many as 4Ks as we do, because again, they have to use their resources, and minusing this by 1,000 to go that route. If they're going to do that force block shenanigans, this is your best friend, because you can nullify their impact for a turn and they're not hitting you in the face.
Now, we have one more thing at the tippy top end of this deck to go over. The big reason that we are filling the sideline with so many cards, Ichigo. Can you go over what this card specifically does and why it is such an important tool inside of the Ichigo package?
So basically, as you know, you want to get those removal cards, because I have naturally 4 cards that'll just instant kill. Well, this now introduces the number 8 cards. So this thing can basically guarantee that it'll block something, but it will also guarantee to kill something. So basically, if your energy line's set up for 5, you can just go, you know what? The 0 cost of my energy line? Congratulations. Now take all my trash, kill whatever was else going to swing the turn, because most people pattern out their turn to be swing 4K, swing 4K, swing 4K, then save the Weenie Hunt Juniors later. Well, if you go swing 4K, hits just something to bring you to 8, then they go swing the next 4K. Now you hit this, you raid this, you murder their other 4K, and then proceed to laugh at them because they just wasn't prepared for their 25K to be now chump blocked, and you now survive the turn by just having just this and be ready.
Yeah. The fact that he gets to kill anything whose BP is half as much as the amount of cards in your sideline that you are going to remove with it is such a hugely beneficial card. And now that we have so many different ways to, well, successfully fill the sideline with cards, and you naturally fill them anyways, it's going to be such a tool to be reckoning with. Now, let's begin wrapping this up a little bit. Where do you see this deck situated in the meta? Do you think it's going to be able to prey on the bigger decks, or is it better against the more mid-rangey control decks out there, like Purple Code?
I'm going to be straight honest with you. It is probably the best deck of the format, if not second best right now.
Ooh.
And when Purple Code falls off, this deck will still put up results. That is the difference between Purple Code and this deck. When the format gets more aggressive, Purple Code starts crumbling under its own feet, because they don't have enough shenanigans to balance themselves out. Ichigo always has done well in almost every event. If you look at across, Japan and Indonesia, Ichigo is always in the top 16 of any major event. Pilots are really good on this deck. I mean, you could probably blame that it's 0 cost Rukia, but at the same time, I don't think it's just the 0 cost Rukia.
No.
I think adapting the strategy, and a lot of players are going to put this deck below the 0 squad in a tier list. And I'm going to say, share what you're smoking, bud, because that's not true. This deck still will put up results. This deck is probably one of the strongest decks to be made, and it's scary. When it was falling behind because you were playing this Renji style of play, which is still good. I mean, you could still walk up with Byakuya, the Kuchi family, where it's Rukia, Renji, and Byakuya in a list, and they're applying pressure that way. Great list. But, this is still one of the most consistent ways, because you have Impactor, you have double damage consistently. that doesn't just require you to pay resources to get that double damage. This thing just can innately gain that by having, 10 cards. So, yeah, but you also have access to probably one of the best, two of the best known raid targets in the game. Who doesn't want to filter on your opponent's turn and just make them go? Yeah. And then, just instantly be able to stop one attack plus another just by being on the board.
Oh, absolutely. Well, big thanks again, Kyle, for walking us through the Purple Ichigo and breaking down all the key points. I'm really looking forward to seeing this starting to show up in some bigger scale events. Where can all of the viewers find you at, Kyle?
The thing called the UbiTubes, use that searchy bar, search up Universities on YouTube. Still haven't got that to work, but usually you can find me on the UbiTubes, live streaming Rumble-Rama for everybody, or just in general, I make content of just the weekly metas reports. You guys need to start sharing your information a little bit more easily so I can get the data more and more accurate, but at the moment you kind of get the best idea what's going forwards. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video.
Yes, and of course I'm ProDMJoey. You can find me in the description down below, as well as him in the description, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here so that you can follow along.
Stay healthy.
Yep, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.